long flight?
5 hours ahead, maybe like 6-7 hours, 6.5, 7.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Am I boring you?
Sorry, no,
Are you? Oh, you playing that new game?
yeah.
Is it fast?
It's called it. Sorry, it's called Haste.
Well, that's not what I mean. Like, does it go fast? You like that shit, right?
But what I really should have said is, yes. But what I really should have said is, hello, let's talk about Haste. The latest from Landfall. That's the cluster truck, guys. Haste is a curious mix. It's an experience made with taste very similar to my own, but with all the things that I fundamentally do not like. Never before has someone taken so many things I fuck with and shaped them into a pair of cheeks in order to carefully bend over and moon me specifically. Ultimately, though, I am really glad this happened. I hope more games of this type will be made, because I think eventually, if it happens enough, we'll all come to the realization that yes, you made a character. You made a person with their own things that move them through the world, a personality that maybe fits the story you're telling, their own way of looking at things. But really what you did is, you made a car. You made a racing game. Maybe you should take some notes from the people that make racing games and put some road signs on the bitch. Speaking of characters, spoilers coming in fast. Of course, with a game like this, the first thing you gotta show is the main character running. It's a cliche because it works. Trust me, not having the running intro would be like dropping a hot new MMO and having the servers stay up day one. People would be confused. Then we cut away from the running, unfortunately, to some guys doing some science on something that looks interesting. Then they bomb it, and that is the end of the interesting things. This game's story has been described as not very deep and okay. Emphasis not mine. And I didn't know there was one. These people are being polite. I know better than to be too polite to fast people. Fast people, especially fast story people, need honesty, or who knows what could happen. Okay, whoa, this is way worse than I remember. Okay, I need to explain what this is. Okay, we're gonna explain this really fast because this is not a comparison. I was just exaggerating to make a point. This is a tangent. We'll be real short. This is a monument to one man's hubris in the form of characters created to flesh out the backstory of one character from the Sonic comic run by Archie Comics. The writer who created all these original characters sued Archie and Sega for ownership of his creation. Archie was forced to settle when they couldn't find an original copy of his contract, possibly because they ran into some spikes and dropped it. This left legal ownership of a lot of their universe's backstory in the hands of one person and motivated them to nuke it out with a giant retcon. If that seems like a surprisingly big L for a multimedia corporation to you, Archie would agree, because apparently after this happened, they fired their entire legal team. Back to the writer, he now creates these comics with the characters he retained legal control over, which I remind you, were all conceived as animals in the Sonic universe, like echidnas and hedgehogs and mole rats and shit like that. So essentially like a Sonic universe without anything Sega actually owns in it. Back to what I was saying with my sincerest apologies. What these reviewers are trying to say, and would say if they knew how crazy fast makes people, is that the story is fine. It's just presented in an uninteresting or lazy way. You're fast, you bump into a designated talk location, and you turn into a PNG and you talk to another PNG about how neither of you knows why the universe is suddenly Ninja Warrior. Everybody has theories like what if the world is like a box of tissues and you pull the tissue through the box? But what if time is like a bowl of guacamole? What if we put it in a bong and smoke it? And no one knows. This is like 3 or 4 hours into things, by the way. Imagine running your ass off for the entire Fellowship of the Ring and not knowing why you're running or where to. To be fair, the story has a very human design. It's about how we deal with change. So the exact why isn't really the focus. But still, because you deal primarily in theories, all the dialogue feels indiscriminately skippable. If I wanted to give you the best and the worst, it would look like this. Let me paint you a picture. You're cooking at strong speed. You found something that gives you boost energy when you skate by an object, giving you a consistent payoff for your performance. So you take risks to feed that constant boost. And the breakbeats are immaculate. And you're really feeling it. And then between the levels, we stop for a minute so an NPC can groan at you. All the bad stuff in that sentence is a consequence of randomization and procedural generation. Now clearly you're thinking, what bad stuff? That sentence had like one bad thing in it, and it was subjective really. Well yeah, you would think that. What do you think happens when I come right here and snap this part off? Wonder what all this banana yellow means. I guess I could just tell you, let's talk about the gameplay. But I'm not going to call this the gameplay segment. I'm going to call this roguelikes and their consequences have been a disaster for the human race. The primary choice you make in gameplay is how fast you descend. You have a button that accelerates you towards the ground in the air, so you can choose to let yourself come down slow or do sort of more like a Kanye state of mind maneuver. What's really weird is this is explained super clearly multiple times, and then everything else is not explained at all. Like, for example, what is luck? Do I want luck? A landing that's more flush with the angle of the ground will give you boost energy. You can spend boost energy with a couple of gadgets to sort of change your trajectory, but generally what you're fighting for here is to avoid too much airtime. The fast comes from the ground. If you get too many hills, you'll almost always fall behind. I'm sure you can guess my big beef as soon as I said procedural generation, right? You can't get a machine to spit out something that feels like it's tailor-made to use this system. Really what it feels like is you have a parameter on a sliding scale. We'll call it, I don't know, off the top of my head, how about difficulty? At the beginning of things, when you first start, you have not a lot going on at all. If you remember No Man's Sky in the early days, you might remember it being described as a mile wide and an inch deep. That's sort of how procedural generation looks. But as we go along and increase the parameter to hopefully get it to spit out a more engaging level, I guess, it feels like you just get whipped peaky eggs. You wouldn't want to race on whipped eggs, would you? There's no path. If the generator is feeling frisky, you might just not feel like you're going fast at all. If you wanted a little bit more nuance than that, the generator doesn't really feel like it can discriminate between putting an obstacle in the course and making the terrain around the obstacle make sense. Anywhere else you'd expect a boost pad to just be clear, but not here. What you doing with that there, buddy? Why'd you put that there? Is that for me? If this procedural generator were a person, he'd be lying his ass off on his resume right now saying, yeah, I've done level design work before. I'm an expert in that field. And you know what? I've been unemployed. I totally get that. You gotta be whatever kind of expert you gotta be to get that job. But speaking as someone who used to be an expert Formula One race car driver, you would definitely prefer to have more clear communication and intention in these stages. I'm McLaren-T it. I mean, even with the best signposting, we all know about the inverse fastiness knowiness problem, right? Like how knowiness is inversely related to fastiness. Like the faster you go, the less you know, otherwise known as the jump, slide problem. You all know this one. Unless, I don't know, you could tell that there was this hole coming up. Results just feel inconsistent. Sometimes there's just something that you couldn't really do anything about. I'm sure that's what the items are for, right? Every level is a random selection of stages that you can choose your path through, with loot drops at some points. Some of them give you a flat boost percentage, some of them give you regular boost, and unfortunately some of them add functionality. Like that thing I was talking about before. Perfect landings are one form of feedback to your performance, but they have a muted effect until you find items. And another form of feedback, which is missing without the right item, is close calls, or grazing. Don't worry if you've not heard of grazing before. It just means you intentionally almost eat shit. An enjoyable thing that you can do to no benefit unless you find the right item randomly. And so the classic roguelike problem appears. I didn't do any better, but I got better grades because I got better items this time. Oh boy. Speaking of lackluster feedback, it seems right now that the only thing that contributes to grades from stages is how fast you go. Well, like not damage, like we don't care about taking damage now? What about using boost or the number of gems I picked up? No? This game is like an abusive coach from my expert Formula One racing days. I can practically hear his voice, like, why didn't you just go faster? And I'm like, I was gonna do some technical stuff, like I was gonna stand on that rock for a second. It was gonna be really cool. No. Just go faster. Look at me. I'm going 300 frames a second. You think that pussy VSync stuff is shit to me? How do you think I made 10 stages worth of content in this game? You think it was from making 10 bosses? No, I made 3 bosses, and then I added more and more lasers to them. Boom. That's how I get shit done. Matter of fact, why are you still working on this? Why are you working on this? Work on the next one. Go faster. If you can't tell from this discussion, there's something fundamentally wrong with me. And even though this is a little bit watered down, it still satisfies a primal and concerning part. The sound design, the music, just feels good. I think they could do something really funny here and post up the random seeds of people in a leaderboard, then let people vote on it to sort of complete the process of taking their hands off the design. Wouldn't that be funny?